What's up, Joel Valley from Media Glitch here, and today we are going to review Sydney Hunter and the Curse of the Mayan. Now this game comes out today for Nintendo Switch, for Steam. It only costs $19.99, but before I get into the review, I want to look at the people who made this game. The game comes from Collector Vision, a 5-man team. They put 5 years into this game, their heart, their soul, and it shows on every level. Now this isn't their first rodeo, guys. They've actually made other Sydney Hunter games for other platforms, but this is just, let's say, their first run at the big leagues, okay? When I started this game up, I was instantly teleported back to when I was a kid, sitting in front of my tube television, playing my Nintendo Entertainment System. And that's when I decided, you know what, I'm gonna do this review different than my other reviews. I'm gonna review this game as if it came out for the Nintendo Entertainment System, because the developers, you can tell this is a love letter to all those retro games that we loved on the Nintendo Entertainment System. You get Castlevania in this game, you get Mega Man 2 in this game, you get DuckTales in this game. There's so many inspirations that they drew from. I'm not gonna compare it. It isn't fair, in fact, to compare it to a game like Grand Theft Auto, like Dark Souls. No, I'm gonna compare it to the generation that it inspires to be. And I think it's fair because this game encompasses all of those things and none of the things that we see in gaming today. But man, this game has everything you would want in an 8-bit platforming game. Like good platforming, and I know that seems like a crazy thing to say, but there's a lot of games that don't have that. They have special weapons that you can find, they have save states, they have level bosses, they have everything that a game needs for it to be memorable. And so we're gonna hit those one by one, and we're gonna start off with the story. Now, the story I'm gonna give a 9, because man, they spent a lot of time studying the culture, the Mayan culture, to get this story right. The story goes like this. Sydney Hunter is a geologist, an adventurer, goes down to Central America, finds this Mayan pyramid off in the distance. He's like, hey man, I gotta find out what's going on inside. Goes in, and guess what? Doors closed, he gets trapped inside. Not only that, he finds himself in the middle of a curse. Now there's the Mayan sun god, Kinish Ahau, who has basically stolen the 7 parts of the Mayan calendar and the 4 main idols. And they're all spread out throughout this temple. Now it's Sydney's job to get those back before he stops time. And there's a reason why he stops time. You'll find that out later. But one thing that I really like about this, and this is back in the NES days, I don't know if they did so well, was funny dialogue. There's a lot of nice witty humor here that I really liked. And you can tell they put time into learning these gods and getting the names right and what they look like and what they would look like in an 8-bit world. I have mad respect. There's so many gods, too many to mention here, but trust me, you're gonna see them, you're gonna love them. It's pretty amazing. Now let's move on to gameplay. There's so much to talk about in gameplay. I gave the gameplay here a 9, and we're gonna hit a lot of things. So the first thing is controls. Are they tight? Yes, very tight. If you don't like the button layout, don't worry, you can change that in the options menu. You start off with your Indiana Jones whip, but you can upgrade it so that it can destroy obsidian blocks, has a little glow to it, which is pretty cool, and that will get you to different parts of levels you couldn't get to. You can upgrade it so that it like whips a fireball out as well. Your second item is gonna be this spear. Now that's mainly meant to be used in underwater. It's the only weapon you can use underwater, but I use it for level bosses. I use it for the levels. It's actually my favorite weapon in the game. The other thing is your Crocodile Dundee boomerang, which, you know what, in all honesty, I've rarely used. You're also gonna find a companion, the Quetzal bird. Now you can upgrade that bird as well to attack enemies. When you defeat enemies, you'll see that they drop jewels, money, currency. You can also find that currency spread out throughout the levels in different areas, and you're going to use that currency at a store to buy, well, you can buy potions to refill your life, you can buy life containers or heart containers, or you can buy keys to open up different doors. Now, there are keys throughout the levels. You're going to need that specific colored key to open that specific colored gate. If you don't have that, you're going to have to go find that key or buy it. There's also crystal skulls throughout the level that you need to find. Now these are very important because if you look above the doors, it'll tell you the number of crystal skulls you're going to need to enter in. Now that's where backtracking comes into play a little later in the game because you need so many crystal skulls to enter that last level. It's not a big deal. In fact, I love that part of the game. But once you get to the level boss, you fight them, you're going to get the part of the calendar that they have stolen. The Mayan god blows up, very similar to Shadow of Colossus, which is kind of cool. There's also potions spread out through the game. You can actually fill your whole inventory with potions, so when you get close to dying, you just use one of those bad boys. There's also pineapples spread out through the level. If you don't have a potion at the moment, those will fill up your life. You have bombs to get to secret areas to unlock more skulls that you'll need. You collect so many relics, you're gonna feel pretty BA by the end of this thing. But the thing I don't like about the controls is there's a up and action like shortcut to use the item if you're using like an NES controller. And if you look at my footage, I kept accidentally using my items. Now, it might be the way I hold the Pro controller, so maybe it's fine for most people. But I just wish that developers made a way to shut it off. Moving on to graphics. Now I'm going to give the graphics an 8 here. Now you might be thinking, well, why would you give it an 8? It's all old school. It doesn't look, it doesn't look as good as today. I'm just reviewing this game as if it was a Nintendo game, as if it came out when I was a kid, and I'm actually like comparing it to some heavy hitters on the NES. There are some graphically amazing games on the NES, like Batman Return of the Joker, which I always thought was a very graphically impressive, intensive game. And Astyanax, that's how I call it. I always love the level bosses. So these are the guys I'm comparing it to, which says a lot. So it doesn't ever quite reach those standards, but there is so much to love here. For example, these embers that are coming out of the fire, the little details of the gold dripping from the idols, the blood that is on the teeth. There's the dragon, the bosses, the rain in the background, all this stuff. Man, it looks so good. All the callbacks that they do too, like to Zelda 2 or Mario 2, you could tell these guys put time and love into these graphics. Now, if none of that sold you on how good the graphics are, just look at this boss right here that I'm showing. This guy looks awesome and it's very impressive. I want to show you the last level boss, the last guy you fight. It is so impressive, but I don't want to spoil it. It's that impressive. I want you guys to see it, but he's 3 levels high just to get to the spot where you can hit him, so you have to jump up there. Okay, let's talk about level design. I'm gonna give the level design an 8 out of 10. And I think that there's some awesome levels here. There are some that were a bit like, where do I go? There's a lot of paths. And so there's always this like fine line, especially with retro gaming, that you got to be careful that people can't lose their footing. They always kind of know where they go or have somewhat of a good idea. And I think these guys, they did it right. They did it good. It isn't perfect, but they did it. They did it really, really good. And now let's like backtrack into what I said earlier in the review about backtracking. good segue there. I see some reviews of people complaining about backtracking, and I'm thinking, man, but backtracking is retro. Okay, backtracking, that was Metroid. Did you not play Metroid? There's backtracking. That was always in NES games where you had to go back and get a weapon sometimes to advance to higher levels. And so it blows my mind because this game clearly is trying to be retro, and is retro in its own right. So and another thing I see people complaining about is how difficult it is, and I'm thinking, again, I'm like, okay, this reviewer must be 20 or younger, and they're just used to a save spot every 5 seconds in games today. That's not how games were built back then. You know, the games were tough. Now this is not impossible tough. I feel like there's companies that are coming out like trying to make this retro, trying to emulate a retro feel and retro look, and they bump the difficulty to murder, that is not this game. This game is doable, and actually I think I like one of the hardest levels on here is one of my favorite levels, because that's what retro is. So I think like some of these reviewers, they must just be young kids and they don't know how hard games used to be.
Dad, this game's hard.
All right, we're gonna move on to music now. I'm gonna give music a 10 out of 10. I don't score anything a 10 except for my wife's cooking. That shows you how amazing this music is. I'm not kidding you guys. From the time you boot this game up, you see that title screen, and then you're putting in your name. You know you're playing something special all the way till you get to the end credits. That music is still there. That music is still bumping. All of it is so well done, and I feel like every level, the music was designed to fit that particular level, and you don't find that in games nowadays. So I want to say what is my favorite tune, and I would have to say it's this one. You know what? I take it back. It's this one. Can I change my answer? I really like this one. Wait. This is my jam right here. Listen to this. This one too. Ooh, but there is this tune too right here. And what I like about this tune is it has like pull-offs on a guitar. I don't know if you know that term, but listen to it, you'll hear like what if you know what a pull-off is. I don't know, it's too hard to tell. You guys tell me in the comment section below after you played this game, what is your favorite tune? But talking about sound design, listen to this. When you go in the water, how cool is that? That the music goes down based on whether you're in the water. I don't know, just another cool little thing. So Mr. Ben Allen, the maker of this music, you sir are our superstar. Alright, we're going to talk about an overall score here. I'm going to have to give this score a 9. And I know that seems high, but this is a retro game that had I played when I was a kid, I would have absolutely loved it. And it's got multiple endings? Come on. I remember at one point I was playing this game and I look over to my wife and I say, this is where I'm happy. I'm happy playing this game because it brought me back to a simpler time, man. A time before bills, a time before responsibilities, before stress, before internet, before social media, before all this and that. And I was happy. And I was a kid again. Not that I'm not happy person normally, because I am, but it's just, man, it brought the nostalgia so hard, and that's what makes this game awesome, and that's how you know you did the game right. So for that collector vision, I applaud you. So that's my review of Sydney Hunter and the Curse of the Mayan. If you like this review, please do me a favor, hit that like button, leave a comment below. That interaction helps me to get in that algorithm, that crazy algorithm. And if you like these videos, you want to see more, you want to know when a new one's posted, hit that little bell button. Please hit that little bell button, or else it's not going to come up on your feed, because that's the world we live in. So, but thank you so much for your time. I love you guys, and we'll see you on the next video. Goodbye.